one more song.
We can talk. You gotta talk. Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
All right.
What are you just
What happens
song?
Well, yeah, I played another song on KCast Radio.
So now everybody's torn.
Well, yeah, so I mean, we're on Facebook Live, so we might as well start our Facebook Live thing, and then we can go on KCast Radio.
So what we need you to do is put Facebook Live on, follow us on Facebook Live, and at the same time, use the app, and you can have it in the background.
Do I need to turn that down in case Facebook Live?
Yeah, if they pick it up, then Isn't that sucks?
It does really suck.
But you could do that. I never thought about that. You could have a total.
We're playing "Sneaking Sally Through the Alley" on the KCast Radio app, which is a great song you don't hear very often.
We're sneaking on.
Yeah, it's really, really good. So we'll let that roll. But yeah, you can do the KCast Radio app and listen to classic rock. And we got a ton of downloads yesterday. I was out by the pool.
Good.
It was fantastic. And then we'll do our Facebook Live, your thing live, which you're doing right now. So I'll crank that off. So you're getting two things. You're getting Kurre and Klapow in two different places. By the way, I had a woman come up to me yesterday, and she said that she liked my man boobs. And I was like, thanks. She started laughing. She just started laughing. She goes, that was the funniest thing I ever heard. And I was like, yeah. And she's like, you don't have man boobs.
No.
She goes, I could tell you used to work out a little bit.
That's right.
And I went through that. I did like every guy does. I went through this 5-year phase where I just got after it.
Yep. And now gravity's taken over.
Well, and then kids come aboard, and you start, and injuries and all kinds of stuff. And she's like, you don't have to, but I did wear an extra sweater today.
You got like 4 extra sweaters on.
Dude, it was so flipping cold in my house this morning. I was freezing.
You got circulation problems. Like you really do, because I'm half naked here, and you got you couldn't tell.
I have circulation problems and a lot of circulation with a lot of different things.
Yes.
I need to circulate.
You need to get your blood flowing better.
Did you like the Olympics? Did you watch the Olympics?
Yeah, listen. I love watching the Olympics. I mean, I was flipping through, they got them simulcast on, although it gets a little confusing, but they got them simulcast on all the different channels, which I love. The badminton, the ping pong, the 3-on-3 basketball. I like it. I like it because I love the pomp and circumstance. I love all that. But then I also just it's like sports. It's like a sports potpourri all the time. I like the backstories. I will tell you, I'm just sort of dialing in on this. This is, again, one of those ones where they're going to go back and watch these Olympics. And it's strange to see them in masks. Mm-hmm. Although have you seen? Some of them have it's like the latest technology. They got, some of them got sort of old school masks. Some of them got killer. They got I don't know what they are. Yeah. I don't know what they are, but and then the other thing I thought was kind of cool. I was watching gymnastics last night. Oh, two things in gymnastics, but I was watching and their families are up at 3:00 in the morning, and usually some of the family would be there. So it's just
it's a 14-hour difference, right?
Yeah, so we get to watch. It's actually kind of cool.
So right now it's 8:00 at night.
Right. So what they're doing is when we're watching at night, it's live, or at least a lot of them are live.
Yeah.
So I thought, it's great.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I almost feel obligated to watch because it's our country.
Well, yes.
And I still think it's cool, and I know we've gone through a lot of turmoil with our flag and everything, but to see people holding a flag up. I watched the fencing yesterday. The first time a woman got a gold in fencing, and I thought it was amazing. I don't really understand it, but it was amazing. And then I watched the triathlon. Did you see that? There was they had 51 people in the triathlon where they swim 0.39 miles, and then they rode bicycles for 80-something miles or 75 miles, whatever it was. There was a boat that was pulled up inside. It was part of, I guess, shooting the actual triathlon, and it was pulled up towards the end, and so when they blew the hold on, let me get this. Now we go KCast Radio. KCast Radio, you're home for Kurre and Klapow in the mornings and classic rock, the bone. So we're doing two things here. We're on the KCast Radio.
Look at you. You're this is good that you have a background in this.
We're on the KCast Radio app, which you can download. A bunch of downloads we got yesterday, and you can hear us anywhere in the world, wherever your phone is. You can listen to KCast Radio, and of course on Facebook Live. And so we were talking about the Olympics, and so there was a big black boat that pulled up, and about 25 or 26 of the guys and people in the trial couldn't jump because they would have jumped into the boat. So they had a false start. So these people are swimming for like 2 minutes, and they had to go out and get them and make them swim back and start over again. And then some dude, I think from Germany, ended up winning, and he looked like he was 27. He was bald on top. He looked like he should not have been. And he was in front of some Japanese dude that was super skinny. He looked like he weighed like 37 pounds. And he blew by him. I'm like, there's no way this guy's going to make it. And he made it. He ended up winning. So anyways, yeah, a lot of backstories. I've been to 4 Olympics.
You see, I've been only one.
I went to Albertville, went to Barcelona, went to Lillehammer, and then was in Atlanta. And we were going to go to, what was the one after that? I don't remember. Anyway, but thanks to the Coca-Cola Radio Network, we did stuff with Coca-Cola. And so, but I really wasn't there. I was with Herb Winches, who was really into the sports aspect of it. And I was just kind of into the culture part of it. So I was trying to bring culture to the show, and he was bringing sports. That sounded good. But just to be part of that is just super cool. I hate the fact that they had to wait a year, and I hate the fact that no one can see what's going on there because the Japanese people in Tokyo should get an opportunity to see the sports because they've $17-18 billion they invested in those things, and infrastructurally, it's you usually lose your ass on the Olympics. It's what you do with it afterwards. Remember in 1996. I remember when I got here in 1988, Atlanta and Birmingham were comparable. I mean, Atlanta was bigger, but I mean, it was comparable. We kind of, and I'm glad we're not Atlanta in Birmingham. There's some things about Atlanta that I love, but it got so big so fast. And obviously when you grow that fast, you have issues. But it was fun to watch. I mean,
did you know? My daughter told me this. I did not know this. You know, you've talked about it a lot. There's only a very small number of participants who really have a chance at a medal. Although in swimming, the guy from Tanzania wins the gold. And they're like, I don't remember what they said. There's only been, I think, 3 gold medals in Tanzania ever. And he won a swim. But anyway, my daughter was saying, so you always talk about it's a big party. Because most of them, even though they're training to be there, etc., they participate in their events and then they get to sort of experience whatever. Well, not only is it lockdown, but now they send you home. I didn't realize that. Did you know that? Yeah. Now, so you go. Yeah, like that.
It sucks because that's the fun part. And I think I saw something yesterday where 1 in 6 Americans will win a medal.
Yeah, right.
Which is like, wow.
Yeah,
I mean, that just tells you. And I think we've gotten the most medals like the last 6 Summer Olympics.
We're also sending. I think obviously the numbers are down in terms of what they're saying. Last night I was watching gymnastics. First of all, let me say Michael Phelps is doing a great job of calming down. I think he's been practicing.
I think he is.
You've been in this business a long time. Do you get the sense that he is?
No, he's getting better.
He's more polished than you would. Okay. But last night,
Tony Hawk not so.
What?
Tony Hawk not so much yet. But skateboarding is the first year.
Skateboarding is Tony Hawk. It's fine. I mean, you don't need to. So last night, and I'm forgetting who does the gym. Who's the gymnastics commentator? The former gymnast, Tim Daggett? No, I don't know. He's always commenting.
Yeah.
So last night he did a visual for us that I just thought was great. I never thought about it before. They're doing balance beam, and he's describing all this stuff. He's like, everybody take your phone out, put your phone down. He's like, that's what they're balancing on.
Yeah.
Look at that thing.
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean, we all know it's small, but then you start to look at that, and I was looking at it, and I was like, this is freaking crazy.
The funny thing about cell phones is I'm watching the freestyle skateboarding. Dude wiped out and his cell phone came out of his back pocket. And I said, is he doing a skateboarding routine with that big ass cell phone in his back pocket? And I'm
skateboarding is so cool. Skateboarding, it's like the snowboarding, only it's better because of just that. Like they got their cell phones, they got their headphones on.
They're all tatted up. Listen, I know that what they're doing is amazing. But I swear I could go downtown Birmingham and see like 3 or 4 cats.
No, you couldn't.
I know they're not doing the same tricks.
I know some folks in the circles
and even my son, who's 16, loves skateboarding. He's like, it's kind of boring. It was kind of the same thing. But it was fantastic.
Surfing? They got surfing?
Dude, I was going to text you yesterday. Normally when I text something to you that's quite titillating, you never respond to me.
Right.
Did you see what the women surfers are wearing?
No, I did not.
The teabags.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I mean, the Netherlands Handball Federation has nothing on. I was like, because when they were doing the thing where they going back up I was like, wow.
Oh, and that's the thing in surfing.
I mean, I just caught that.
That's the thing in surfing. That's the thing in surfing.
I mean, they're not bikini bottoms.
No,
they're like,
backs.
yeah, it was
because here's the analogy, and I won't say my daughter knows some folks who surf out in Charleston, women instructors, and basically the analogy is it's going to get yanked up there anyway.
Yeah, so you might as well just keep it up there.
It's exactly what it is. Because if you got a bikini on, it's going to get yanked up there anyway.
That's a good point.
Which is so interesting. Like culturally, listen to me. That's so interesting because if that was the case, just wear board shorts, right? We wear board shorts. Nobody's telling us as men, like, you got to wear bikinis. No one's telling us you got to wear teabags. Women are saying, okay, I got to wear that because it climbs up okay, fine. Like, what if you put board shorts on? Who would push back?
It's all ass.
Oh, it's all ass.
It was all ass.
Yes, I know. So is that going to move? Is that going to move you from beach volleyball over to surfing?
I was watching surfing. Now I think a typhoon's supposed to hit or something.
Yeah. Oh, so surf's going to be up.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. Yeah, only in Tokyo they can have a typhoon hit during the 2020
Do you think they
Olympics.
Scheduled it? They created
They
it?
probably did. That was fun. It's fun to watch, and I'll continue to watch it. And it's almost like it's pretty much night and day.
I love that. I love that. It's every single night. There's something on. Of course, last night, Jules is like, let's. The kids are out of town. Let's sit down. Let's watch the Olympics. Yeah. Let's just watch. Let's turn them on. We were doing something like about 5:00. I was like, perfect. I don't know what's on. Boom, basketball. Mm-hmm. She's like, really? She's like, really? Yeah, this is the Olympics. She's like, this is not Olympics. It's a bunch of NBA players playing a bunch of other NBA players.
My kid had his ass up at 7:00 yesterday just to watch the basketball.
Really?
Or was it Saturday? Saturday morning when they played. He won't get up at 7:00 to go to Waffle House, but he's like, please wake me up at 7:00 tomorrow morning. I said, you'll never get up at 7:00 tomorrow morning. And he did. He was watching his phone live because it wasn't on television yet. So it's fun to watch. And again, I would never watch fencing or skateboarding, badminton. I wouldn't watch any of those things. I may watch some beach volleyball, something like that, if on a whim. But because it's the Olympics, I find myself watching a lot more. So that was good. Overtraining syndrome. I do want to ask you about that since we're on it.
You're very interested in that. I wouldn't.
No, because I know you can overtrain.
Right.
I didn't know there was a syndrome with it. And you only hear about overtraining syndrome of someone who trains very, very hard and should win a gold medal, but they don't. And I'm thinking
true.
Simone Biles, because she had a little bit of a hiccup last night, and she actually overshot something. She flipped too hard, which is only Simone Biles can do the Biles.
Instead of 3, she almost got 4.
Yeah, and I'm like, she's doing a thing called the Biles, and she overshot it. And I'm like, that's how ramped up she was. I know, that's how badass she is.
Did you see the woman? I forget her name, who's the oldest gymnast. She's been in 8 Olympics. Yeah. This is her final one. She's 46. Did you see? You need to go look at this. She's only 46.
Yeah.
She looks like 105 years old standing next to a bunch of 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Great stuff, but I forget who I was watching. Was it maybe a swimmer?
Yeah.
She was a black swimmer.
Yeah, she's the one who
did the relays,
yep.
and they said that she may have had overtraining syndrome. And the only reason they knew that is because after she had trained, she went into a deep depression.
Yep.
And she had all these different issues, and it's because she was training so much. Talk about overtraining syndrome, because the first person I think of is like a Tom Brady or someone who's really, really good at their craft, and it's what they do from the minute they get out of bed.
Right.
To the minute
That's not overtraining.
Yeah.
So there's this incredibly fine line between what we see elite athletes do in terms of training, the number of hours they put in, right? And most of us will go, oh my God, they train for like 8 hours, and how could you do that? But if you look at the way they train, it's whatever their sport is, it's lifting, it's conditioning, etc. But it's a very specified, train for this amount of time, this much hydration, this much rest, this much nutrition. But in order to get to the peak, they got to take it to the very edge. When your body goes into when your body is pushed beyond its limits, you can have these negative responses. So what ends up happening is things like lactic acid don't resolve. And in the case of the swimmer, your heart rate, for example, your heart, as soon as you start training, instantly goes higher than it needs to go. Basically, think of it this way: your body, your metabolism is completely out of whack.
Yeah.
You've pushed yourself so hard that your body doesn't know, your body can't figure it out. So every time you move, your heart rate goes up because your body thinks, oh, we're training again. Okay. Or, when you're going to swim or when you're going to lift, your body is going into rest mode because it thinks, okay, it's time to rest. And so for these athletes, it obviously, where it's like last night in the swimming, the separation between first and fourth was 1/100th of a second. Mm-hmm. So what ends up happening is they push it too far. They can't qualify or they can't perform. They can still perform, but they can't perform at the level they need to. The depression and stuff comes from a couple things. One, your body's exhausted. And so it kind of crashes. Mm-hmm. When it crashes, you get sort of lower energy, things like that. Not everybody develops depression, but part of the depression part is a combination of your body being exhausted also with sort of the normal emotional reaction of, I did all of this and I didn't make it.
Yeah.
So they don't all go into depression. The other thing you get is a lot of anxiety. Mm-hmm. Because again, your whole metabolism is completely messed up. And that's overtraining syndrome. It's not training super hard, it's training past the part where your body can handle it.
Yeah. Did you see the race last night between Ledecky and Timmins?
Yeah.
That was fantastic. By the way,
she lost.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that's so American. She lost. She got a silver.
Well, and of course, they showed the video of Timmis's trainer, who they did a little piece. All I could think about was Karate Kid. The other side, I forget. It's been a long time. Where they're in his face. You got to do better. What's wrong with you? You got to center your. And I'm going. This dude is intense. He's got a ponytail. Dude, what he did after she won.
I think you look like Sammy Hagar. You look like a cross between Sammy Hagar and David Lee Roth.
Did. And she was getting smoked pretty good early. And then I guess at 300 meters she turned it around. Next thing you know, and I was kind of in a weird kind of way rooting for her because I always wonder when you have a trainer that's in your face like that, or at least that's what we saw.
Yeah.
And we saw how intense he was. I thought he was going to pull the railing down, dude. If you have not seen the video,
yeah, I know.
He was like fired up, and you could tell that she was very, very proud of herself. But it was like, wow, it was amazing.
It is. I think, and the other piece I think is so interesting is you watch all these, and this will pivot over to the basketball, but you watch in the opening set, we watched the opening ceremony. Did you watch it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's done in the Japanese language, the alphabet. So we're waiting for the Americans. And for a little bit of time, it was like A, B, C. I was like, oh, good. Okay, we're at K. Or we're almost there. And then it went back to B.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell? So, what the hell? And then I heard it's the but I always think it's so interesting. You hear these athletes, Tanzania, Romania, whatever, and then they'll say, and they swim for Florida State. And they run for UT. I don't know why. I just find that absolutely fascinating. These people who, they go back and they swim or they compete for their country. But when they're not competing for their country, they're in the NBA. Mm-hmm. It's incredible. And then that leads to the basketball team.
Yes. Are you a little concerned there? Because we saw what they did in exhibition play.
They lost
back-to-back games. And I was telling my son, I said, they'll be fine. Coach Pop will have them ready to go. And then, of course, they lost their first round game there for the first time in 25 games where they haven't won. They hadn't lost a game in 16 years.
They hadn't lost since 1992.
Yeah,
ever.
That's crazy. So that just goes to show. But I mean, no LeBron, no Steph, no big time players, healthy players that probably could have gone, but
they had JaVale McGee.
Been there. Yeah, I know.
I saw that. I was like,
I'm going, okay, yeah.
Damian Lillard. I mean, they had. Kevin Durant looked terrible.
Well, that quote that you sent me this morning.
Well, that was it. I'm blanking on. I'm sorry. I'm blanking on it. He's the guard for Boston who plays for France.
Yeah.
And it was a perfect quote, which is
Ben Gulliver.
Yeah, they have better players than we do, but they can be beat as a team.
Yeah.
And they looked. I mean, we were texting back and forth with the overtraining syndrome. They just look a mess. I mean, they looked tired.
Yeah.
They looked out of sync. Mm-hmm. If you sort of look at their schedule, I mean, how they flew. Drew Holiday, did you hear about Drew Holiday? Mm-hmm. He flies in the middle of the night and they're, hey, okay, you've been up for 27 hours, now go, get in there.
Yeah.
He played amazing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I do think a couple things. I think, one, obviously, yeah, it's, I hate to say this, it's not their first priority. They can't if they got their other jobs. And granted, you could say the same thing. There are NBA players, was trying to think, are there any NBA players who went deep into the playoffs who are now playing for their other teams? Luka.
Yeah.
But other than that, you know what I mean? I was trying to think of how much rest.
Gobert. I'm trying to think of some of the other guys that went deep into the playoffs.
Yeah.
But no, it's funny because a lot of NBA people are saying they kind of like the fact that this is not the all-star team.
I do. I think
because it wasn't fun to watch. They were winning by 30 or 40 every single game. Now, you want to see that. You obviously want to own the world. But, yeah, I mean, this year they've got their work cut out for them. They're going to have to get after it. They're going to have to come together as more of a team. And, again, you're throwing them into a situation where some have some COVID protocol where they can't stay in the same hotel.
Right.
They're going back and forth. And so, yeah.
But I think
it makes it watchable, though.
I was watching last night. I was glued to the TV to see if we were going to win. And it's an interesting I don't know about you, but it's this cross between you're pissed because we should, but then also it's like you're glued because oh my god, wait, they're gonna wait. But the other thing that I love, and I love NBA basketball. I love that this is showing how much this is becoming, or it is, an international game. Like that's what makes it so cool. Yep. But the other piece I don't like, and it shows it a lot. I mean, the U.S. team was frustrated. Kevin Durant they're frustrated because they were having a hard time. But there's lots of whining and eye rolling going on. And I don't know how to say this, but like, if you're getting beat, stop.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that not about the USA, I say that about anybody. Mm-hmm. But we're not used to saying that about the USA. Quit complaining.
Yeah.
Quit complaining about the calls. Quit because you're not making shots. Yeah. You're missing stuff.
And they had 3 shots there at the end too, and this missed every.
Do you think it's fatigue, or do you think it's just out of sync?
After they lost the 2 exhibition games, and they still didn't mean anything. Those games didn't mean squat.
Right.
They lost, and it was kind of what I thought. It's like a football team that finally loses that game late in the season. They're like, well, they're going to come back.
That's what I thought too.
Revenge game, and well, obviously they did not. They got something to figure out. And I don't know, Coach Pop.
Well, you can't tell. That's why I was just.
Coach Pop has gotten. Seems like he's gotten really mellow. I don't know if it's because the political changes, everything happening over the last couple of years, but I mean, he's over there hugging the other coach, and normally he's not. And I'm kind of like, it's kind of weird to see him so friendly with everybody. But we still got a ways to go, so we'll see what happens.
Okay.
We're going to talk about Damon Johnson in just a few minutes. I reached out to him over the weekend. He is like in crazy fantasy land right now. He's playing with Leonard Skinner because of Gary Rosington's heart ailment, if you will. He had emergency heart surgery, and he'll be back on the road with Leonard Skinner. But for the meantime, Damon Johnson will be playing with Leonard Skinner, which is he's like the last 72 hours have been absolutely crazy.
And you saw what we posted on the KCast page where his son flew to North Dakota.
That's pretty cool.
Can you tell me?
It's still Leonard Skinner. Gary Rosington, the last guy in the band that was part of the original group.
Right.
So there's nobody left in the group.
Yeah, but it's Leonard Skinner.
And it's Leonard Skinner. I mean, it is.
So how do you know this? And if not, we can ask Damon. I don't understand. What's his connection?
I have no idea. Here's the thing.
I mean, like, why him? I don't mean that in a bad way. How did they know him? Did they pick him because of Thin Lizzy?
I want to know because Damon played with Thin Lizzy. He's written stuff for Sammy and Stevie Nicks, and he's done all these things. And he decided to go off a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago, to do off his own thing. We presented a few of his shows down at Workplay and stuff. Yeah. And he decided to go off and do his own thing, spend more time with his family, which is fantastic. And yeah, and it's like when you're given this opportunity.
But how they find it? You know what I mean? Like how?
I think he's just really well known in the rock and roll community as a guy that really can play guitar and pick up for any other band and go do this thing. I mean, he's done it for Brother Kane. He's done it for Thin Lizzy. He did it with Alice Cooper.
Right.
I mean,
I see what you're saying.
He's not a studio guy. He's beyond that.
Oh yeah.
He's got a stage presence that's unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
And quite frankly, he's a hell of a nice guy.
Oh.
He's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. And everyone's met him, said he's just a great guy, and he's super blessed, and he's humble. And I mean, I know Damon pretty well. I haven't been on vacation with him or broken bread with him recently, but we do keep in touch because I want him to do some things here on KCast Radio. But he's just so even keel, and he's just super blessed to be doing what he does. And he's been through lean times, he's been through great times, and for him to get that opportunity. And I do wonder if it was a situation where he's like, I kind of got my own thing going right now, thanks, but no thanks. But it seems like if you get a chance to play in Leonard Skinner, I mean, his resume is sick. I mean,
but it's just it's like a Good right, his resume is absolutely
couldn't happen to a better guy.
I mean, it really is. It really is, because you think about Brother Kane. Okay, so he's got that whole thing. You got the thing on his own. You got the Thin Lizzy. You got the Alice Cooper. You got all of those, and then it looks like, if you look at his resume, you put Leonard Skinner, you just add that in there. It's like a dash of seasoning. It's like, look at that.
You played with Leonard Skinner. Yeah. I mean, how cool is that? I mean, just period. That's what I mean. Yeah, I mean, good for him. Couldn't happen to a better guy, and I'm so happy.
I'm telling you, man, Johnny's going to give you a call.
I hope. We'll see. That's one of those things, man. That's one of those things where, you know, I'm just like, you reach out, and I reached out to him, just kind of feel it out a little bit.
Yeah, no, I
don't
know.
want to bother him. I know he's got a lot going on, and I know that if you go to his Twitter page or his Facebook page, he'll do any interview. Because he's super generous with his time, and so I don't want to be one of those guys. But
that's why I had you reach out.
We also have something pretty big going on here at KCast Radio that I think he'd be really good at, and we will do something with him. But right now, he's just busier than a bumblebee, so he's getting after us. Congratulations to Damon Johnson. We'll try to get him on this week.
Awesome.
I hit him up this morning at 6 o'clock. I'm sure he'd appreciate that. Like, get your ass up and call me. Jackie Mason. Yeah, I can't believe you didn't. Yeah, I can't believe you didn't text me.
I sent it to you.
No.
You know what I did?
You always text me deaths.
You know what I did? This is terrible. This is so bad of me. You know who I sent it to? This is terrible. I just sent it to all my Jewish friends.
I know.
I just thought about that.
I couldn't believe the best Jewish comedian of our time.
I know.
And I'm waiting, and I saw it this morning. I was like, I can't believe he didn't. Whenever someone famous and Jewish dies, Josh sends it to me. Right. And sometimes it'll be like 3 or 4 in a row.
Because they're old.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I was watching. I went back and watched that stuff. It's like Robin Williams stuff. I can hear the same bit 100 times, and you'd think, I mean, to me, it's different than a song. Like a song I can hear 100 times, and it's beautiful and it's melodic, but it doesn't like over emote me.
Yeah.
But like comedy, you would think if you heard the joke 15 times, Jackie Mason is just, and if you haven't listened, listen, if you don't know who Jackie Mason is, and you're not into sort of the Jews and Jewish comedy and Jews and Gentiles and all that kind of stuff, you got to watch it because it will allow you, and I say this as a Jew, to live the stereotype that is Judaism. But at the same time, what he does is so great. He juxtaposes that against Gentiles, which is just hysterical. And his accent. And I don't know if you saw, I didn't because I didn't send you. There's a whole bit of him. He was honored at Oxford University, where my son is going, which is like, I'm like, what the hell? And he stands up and he's doing this whole thing about why is he there? He doesn't know. And he throws this line. He's like, I guess this must be an honor or something because I normally get $60,000 a show and they're not paying me anything. And they told me to dress up. He's like, I don't know. But, oh, my God. Yeah, God love him, 93 years old.
93 years old. And if you're trying to figure out who Jackie Mason is, go watch Caddyshack 2.
Yes.
He was in Caddyshack 2. It wasn't nearly as good as the first one, but he played a nice part.
You will laugh.
Yeah. He was. Listen, I mean, in the grand scheme of all comedians, just because of who he was and the way he did his comedy, because it was really brash. I remember he stood up the Queen, I think. Wasn't he supposed to do? Yep. He did something for the Queen, and he was supposed to bow to her at the end. He split before he bowed, and then he came out a day later and said he felt sick to his stomach, so he had to split, and he stood the Queen.
Well, he talked about one of his things that he's performed for the Queen.
Yeah.
And he said he loved the Queen he loved performing for the Queen more than at home, because at home, when he performs, they tell him that you're too Jewish.
Yeah.
You're too Jewish, now that's a thing. Let me tell you about
think?
No, that whole too Jewish thing.
Yeah.
That's a thing among Jews. And he does, I'm not going to get into a bit, but like we will always tell you we're proud, any Jew will tell you, like he does, proud to be Jewish.
Yeah.
Nobody, if you're Jewish, we are the tribe, we are the chosen people, stuff. But it is true, depending on like your cultural upbringing. And we had this in my family. We were doing something and we're going to go to temple and then we're going to go afterwards to Havarad. And my mom would be like, what do you think? I'm like, it's a little too Jewish.
Isn't that
we got to back off that a little bit because it's a little too Jewish.
Isn't that funny that you can be almost too anything depending on your culture and your ethnicity?
Well, can you be too Catholic?
Yeah.
Oh, can you? Oh, really? So people were like,
you can be too gay. You can be too black.
I know that.
Can you be too white? Yeah, you can be too white. You could be too Jewish. You could be too.
I never thought about being too. Like, what's too Catholic? Like, what is that like? Like Jewish, I get.
Just if you're too Catholic, you can't stop talking about Catholicism.
Okay.
And if you're too Catholic, you don't think there's any other religion besides Catholicism.
Yeah, see, so, too Jewish. It's
like
not
no matter what you're talking about, Catholicism will be an underlying.
Okay, that makes sense. Too Jewish is not about
religion. Just before you end up just having a conversation with a priest.
That's interesting.
Or a deacon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it happens.
Love
it
it.
happens.
Love it.
Some birthdays today, since we're talking about Jackie Mason, who passed away at the age of 93. Sandra Bullock. Jess Bullock, good friend of mine who runs the Jess Bullock agency.
It's related?
Yeah, that's her uncle.
I
tried to get her on the show.
She's got to be in her mid-50s.
She's 57. Kevin Spacey?
64.
62. What's your thoughts on Kevin Spacey right now?
He's kind of quiet, right?
Well, yeah, because he got in trouble.
Yeah.
Right? But he's just got another movie role or something, so he's going to be...
I mean, that's, look, that's how, right? It's how it goes. Go, be quiet. Don't make a lot of noise.
Apologize, shut up, go off for a little bit and come back.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We forgive.
Listen, what I was going to tell you, that happens a lot, not just in celebrities. I see that in corporate America.
Oh, yeah.
Big companies, look, you rub this person the wrong way, you're in this division, you're in this group, and they kind of don't like you. We don't want to fire you, but we think it's better if you go over to this division for a while. Go over and just do this far away from here, and then maybe you can work your way back.
Yeah.
Which is
what Britney Spears should be doing right now, by the way.
Did you see what I sent you?
I did. I actually pulled up the unedited version. She gave a nip slip on Instagram this past weekend. And I'm like, dude.
That's the unedited? What did I send you? The edited version?
Yeah, there's little stars over her nips.
She was holding them.
No, there was another picture she did.
Oh, there's another one. I sent you this one.
I investigate everything.
No, I sent you this one.
Yeah, that one. But there was another picture she posted right after that where she actually showed. And, of course, if you want to go see her, she's been topless before. But, yeah. And I'm just like, dude, you're going through this conservatorship, and we all want to believe you're okay. Stop sending naked pictures of yourself. What the hell's wrong with you?
Can I tell you what my...
What? Seriously.
No, I know.
Everyone's wanting to support you and wanting to do great.
Well, Tony, she's doing what she wants to do.
Well, that's fine, and she'll do that when this conservatorship is over, and it seems like she's getting increasingly more close to it. But just like, go away just for a little bit. Just chill out.
You know someone, I talked to somebody, I won't mention their name, who was looking at that picture, and the first thing they noticed was, look, Brittany, if you're going to do that, it's not me, I didn't notice this. Her nails were all like...
I know, nasty. Yeah.
Right? It's like, look, if you're going to do this and a million people are like, at least take your fingers to the nail polish.
Kate Beckinsale turns 48, Helen Mirren 76. Blake Edwards, I only mentioned him, he would have been 99 today, Julie Andrews' widowed husband.
Oh, I have no idea who that
He
was.
died. Dorothy Hamill.
Oh, the Hamill
Dorothy
Camel.
Hamill still looks pretty good just because she
She's
hasn't changed a bit.
Dorothy
She's still got the bob.
60?
65. She's doing some commercial for some arthritis thing, and she still looks good.
Yeah.
Roger Taylor, who, of course, is the Queen drummer, a great British man, turned 72.
Oh, jeez.
And Mr. Mick Jagger today has a birthday.
It's his birthday today?
It is his birthday, yes. I posted it on KCast.
Oh, man. Is he, 77?
He is 78 years old. I tweeted
That is freaking crazy. I want to know this.
Yep.
I haven't Googled this. Is there anything that talks about his, somebody must have done an expose on his health practices.
No.
Like, veggie juice, celery.
The only thing he's good at is staying thin.
Right.
He seems like he eats pretty well, but I know he still imbibes.
Does he still imbibe?
He still has a cocktail or two, yeah. 78, I tweeted out this morning. I said, Monday morning, you feel a little tired. I said, well, happy birthday to Mick Jagger, who turned 78, ... has a 4-year-old. And
yes.
I realize he's not holding his 4-year-old every single night, but he's a father of a 4-year-old, ... And he's fixing to go on tour again. I can't, seriously. I've seen 78-year-olds. I've seen B.B. King when he's like 112 down at the BJCC Concert Hall. I've seen James Taylor, who's in his 70s. I've seen these guys, but they're kind of set up. They're doing an acoustic kind of thing. Mick Jagger's still running up and down the stage with the Rolling Stones, still playing rock music. They're not playing Ruby Tuesday for 3 hours.
No.
He's still getting after it, and he's 78 years old, and they're fixing to go on the road.
There's got to be...
It's amazing. It's flipping.
Like, doesn't he have hip problems? He's got to have something.
It's flipping amazing. It really is. 78 years old,
My mom's. That's my mom's age.
If someone offered you $5 million to go on the road for 5 or 6 shows, and you were 78,
you couldn't do it.
99% of us just couldn't do it. We're like, and he's still walking up and down the stage, still doing the thing. He's still moving good. It's got to be genetics. It's amazing.
Well, it is. Okay.
78 years old.
It is genetics, but that's why I'm saying he's got to be. They got to be doing something to fuel his body. I don't mean illegally, right? I mean like whether or he's sleeping. Like he cannot.
Keith, is up there in age, but Keith stands there.
That's what I'm saying.
Mick is still strutting up and down the stage. I'm like, that's amazing to me.
They must IV fluid him afterwards.
There's a lot of rock and rollers that are still playing in their 70s. 78 is like on the outside. I mean, that means he may be touring when he's 80. Which is amazing, and this is interesting. This is interesting. I brought this up. I was watching the Ozzy Osbourne.
I didn't watch it.
You need to watch it. From a psychological standpoint. No, you'll eat it up.
No, I know. I was watching like the Olympics or something.
No, I mean it was on. I think it's been on for a while now. If you haven't seen it, you will look at Ozzy Osbourne in a totally different light. They went through the whole bat thing and the dove thing, and there was a time where he looked at his wife Sharon and said, "We've decided we must kill you," and lunged at her and tried to kill her, tried to choke her.
Was he on drugs or is he schizophrenic?
Don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
He's a mess.
We know that he's been, he's had, there's been more coke and drugs and a mixture of, he used to snort ants and glue. You name it. The fact that he's alive is amazing. It's called The 9 Lives of Ozzy.
Right.
The biography. And the thing that's crazy about it is they don't make him watch it, but he's watching the documentary as it's going. And so there's scenes where they show him vomiting, and he's on the set. He's got a pill bottle in his mouth, and he's passed out.
And they have him now watching
it.
What?
And to see his facial expressions.
Oh, what are they?
They're showing the scene where he's talking about wanting to kill Sharon and doesn't remember any of it. And it's just like he's just very reflectionary and everything.
Of course.
And it's kind of like, wow. And he's sitting in a movie theater and he's watching these clips. And they're showing him clips of old concert footage that he doesn't remember.
Of course.
And he's like, I've never seen this, or I don't remember this.
Of course.
And obviously they had Jack and Kelly and their first daughter, who we don't really see. She's
that's
really
like
pretty. And they're talking about their dad. And Jack, who's now doing the detour with his dad's show, is the one that seems like he's the most screwed up by it. He's the one that's got it together, but he's the one that's most
traumatized by it.
Yeah, he's just crying the entire time because he just loves his dad. And
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? I mean, it's one thing for you to see it.
Yeah.
You to see it and reflect. But your family, and particularly your kids, I mean, your wife, yes, but your kids are seeing it through the lens of things they remember. Mm-hmm. But then things they don't remember, but they see.
Yeah.
Right? Can you just imagine seeing video of your parents completely effed up? Like, just even it
but
would.
The underlying current, the whole thing though, is that he is a great. He was at one point an incredibly lousy father.
Yes.
And he's obviously getting better now, or we think he is. He went through that Parkinson's thing, and then it turned out to be something else, and he had AS and all these other things. And then he broke his back and all these things. And by the end of it, they're like, that's just who he was created to be.
Yeah.
And he'll always drink. He went to the Betty Ford Clinic for 60 days, and he lasted 45 minutes. He had a drink in the car when he left after being sober for 60 days. I mean, it's sad in so many different ways.
How old is he, roughly? 70s?
70, 72.
Okay, so here's another example. We've talked about this on other shows. Incredible genetics. Right? I mean, the fact that he's not dead.
Yeah.
The fact that, and the fact that his, and I don't mean dead. Okay, so the fact that he's not dead from an overdose, that's not necessarily genetics. But, you talk about
it's amazing.
Well, that's what I mean. You talk about all the other things. So the overdose, okay, you got lucky. Mm-hmm. But then you think about the accumulative effect of that. And granted, he's not looking great, but he's not dead.
No, it's amazing. I mean, I don't know if he's just formaldehyde.
Well, that's what
to the point where he's just, but I mean, but it was amazing, and it was very current. I think it was just done about a year ago. And so they're talking to him, and he's cognizant, he's dropping F-bombs and everything else.
Can you understand him?
Yeah, but they always talk about his heart And Sharon would always say when he was sober, he's the most caring individual.
Yeah.
But she's like, you can't. And she was the one that stayed with him through all of it. And she realized that when he was gone for 60 days that she missed him more than anything. And even after he tried to kill her, she dropped the charges. And she's like, we'll work through it. And she said, that wasn't my husband. That wasn't the man who I thought I married, and blah, 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 blah. But the real amazing thing about this, and we talked about the overtraining syndrome, he went off, he had young kids, went off and decided to hang it up and said, I'm done with the road, don't want to do it anymore. And it sucked for him. He was a caged bird.
Yeah.
And he was laying around. His son Jack said he'd never sleep in bed. He always slept on a couch that was in the kitchen. He was just my dad who was always on the couch. He was always on the couch, reading the books, playing with the kids, doing the things. And after about 3 months of that crap, he was like, it was not who he was created to be. He was not a happy man. And so at that point, they were invited to be part of Lollapalooza or something. And then they said, Ozzy's not cool enough for Lollapalooza. And he said, screw you, we'll do Ozfest. And so they started doing the Ozfest thing.
Ozfest.
And that's one of the reasons why, despite the fact that he's having a hard time walking, you can't understand what he's saying, and he's just effed up beyond belief, he's going back on the road next year. Because that's what he loves to do.
Right.
And he's like, I'll die on the road. That's the way I'm going to go. And he said, and when they put a nail in my coffin, I will come back out for an encore. Is what he says.
Which is okay. I mean, listen, like, you get that. You get it's the.
You cannot keep a person from doing what they're passionate or what they feel like they were put on earth to do.
That's right.
And there's a lot of people who are like, you see older people who do crazy things, and you're like, dude, you're 70 years old. What are you doing? And maybe Mick Jagger's got a little of that. I don't think it's all about the money. It's like that's what I was put on earth to do, and it's not even. I don't think it's even for the fans so much. I mean, the fans get so much from him or from the Rolling Stones, but it's more of that's what I've got to do.
Yeah, and listen, you could. I mean, the thing that's hard with Ozzy is, and it's hard with all of these musicians, the drug part. What I mean by that is, were you put on this earth to do drugs and play music, or were you put on this earth? Is your passion the music and the performance, or is your passion the music, performance, and the drugs?
Yeah.
Right? And that's why I'm saying you get that whatever the age is, and Jay Wilson talked about this, it's when you're young, you're partying and stuff, and then the question becomes, do you get to this point where your life is Damon Johnson's such a great, and look, I don't know musicians the way you know musicians, but one of the things about Damon Johnson that I love talking to him about is you can hear his passion for music, like which I as a novice just can't even comprehend. The notes, the playing, the guitars, all of that piece. Eddie Van Halen was kind of that same way.
Yep.
To me, that's what you're put on earth to do. The drug part gets interesting because I don't believe, other than sort of a genetically predisposed addict, you were put on earth to do drugs, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, if you stripped away the drug, again, I don't know about Damon Johnson. I would assume he's completely clean. He doesn't do drugs. He loves his music. To me, that makes sense. The drug part is sad by the time you get to, and if you don't have great genetics, by the time you get to, if you don't have great genetics, you're dead, or you're Keith Richards.
Yeah,
I'll bet you Keith Richards doesn't do drugs. I bet he drinks carrot juice.
Probably not anymore. Yeah. Maybe as recently as 5 years ago, I think he probably did. I know he still drinks, and he still smokes. But again, I mean, you're put on this earth for a period of time, and you're going to go out on top, and you're going to go out the way you want to go out.
That's right.
And it would just suck for Ozzy Osbourne, who
knows nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad in so many different ways.
Yeah, it is.
Because there's just so much that he's probably. But you know what? Maybe that's okay.
Yeah.
There's been so much he's missed out on his life because he doesn't remember things, and he's tried to kill his wife, and he's done he slept with 8 trillion women, and it's kind of like, but maybe that's who he was put on earth to be. I don't know, because everyone's connected in some way. We're all connected in a way. I remember seeing him in Louisville, Kentucky in 1987, and I brought him on stage there at Louisville Cardinal Stadium. And I went up, and I'll never forget it, there was a woman sitting behind me who had a red fishnet bodysuit on from the neck all the way down to
Nice.
her red pumps. And by the end of the concert, she was naked. People were just ripping. I'm sitting there.
Wait, was she on stage with him?
No, she was sitting behind me at the concert.
Oh, behind the yes.
And it was see through, and I was like, okay, this is not gonna. And she didn't care, and it was insane. It was crazy. It was the one where he was playing with Motley Crue, and he mentioned that he's like, it was the craziest.
Ozzy said that.
It made. Listen, I've had a good time in my life.
Yeah,
I've done some things I probably shouldn't have done.
Yeah, it made you look tame.
I've pulled it back. I've done some crazy shit, but when you see how long you hear the word binge like a million times. He would go on a binge or like a 3 or 4 day binge. It's like, ugh. And then here he is again. It's amazing. If you get a chance to watch, it's 2 hours. It's amazing. I mean, it really is. You will have a newfound respect for just the fact that his genetics keep him alive.
I've seen a couple interviews, and you see this sad. There's this sad, sweet guy in there.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, did you see on the news the Beach Boys are touring? I mean, talk about it. Well, hang on, but the Beach, you see,
yeah,
There's 2 Beach Boys groups. There's the Brian Wilson Beach Boys,
yeah,
and then the other, I can't remember the names, the other Beach. So they're both touring,
yeah,
as the Beach Boys.
Uh-huh.
Like, that's how. I mean, you talk about trying to everybody come back. Darius Rucker is with the Hootie. Like, everyone and their brother is just.
The Beach Boys is an environment.
Yeah, but which one? Which one are you going to go to?
It doesn't matter.
That's what I'm saying.
It could be you and me as the Beach Boys, and we'd probably sell 4,000 or 5,000 tickets. Seriously,
Yeah.
Because it's the Beach Boys. It's a summer thing. It's great. You're going to hear the Beach Boys music, and you don't really care who's in the band anymore. You don't.
But that would be like. I mean, that would be like. Think about it. Pick any band. That would be like two Leonard Skinners.
Yeah.
There's
only one Leonard Skinner.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. So,
by the way, Mick Jagger turned 78. Roger Taylor turning 72. Between the two of them, they've sold over 400 million albums.
I thought you can tell me how many kids they have or something.
And Mick's got 8, by the way. I don't know how many kids Roger has. He's got a 4-year-old. Mick's got a 4-year-old.
Well, he's also got I'm assuming he's got grandkids.
Oh yeah. He's got 4 kids, and that's what was really cool about that picture with Damon Johnson and his kid.
Yes.
To see the kids. And then,
Wait, Damon's a grandfather, I think, too.
Mm-hmm. And they had over 150 hit singles that were on. Try to wrap yourself around 150 hit singles. If you get one hit single, you've made it. 150 different hit singles that both Roger Taylor and Mick Jagger were on. It's pretty amazing stuff. Talk about one of our great clients here on KCast Radio. Download the KCast Radio app. A lot of people download it on weekends because it's the great music to listen to on weekends while you're cutting grass, laying by the pool, everything else. I got a pool question I want to ask you.
Okay, no, I'm going to tell you about. This is given what we've been talking about. I'm telling you about Woodhouse Day Spa. What does the spa have to do with what we're talking about? Stuart Rome, the owner of Woodhouse Day Spa, is a diehard classic rock fan.
Yeah.
He makes incredible posts. He's a huge Rush fan, and he is the owner of Woodhouse Day Spa. It is located up at the Summit, 905-7676. Listen, this is a place where you can walk in, make an appointment, and you're on vacation for an hour or for 6 hours. Manicures, pedicures, facials, massages. Stuart and his team have done everything they can so that when you walk in the door, you feel like you're transported in another place. Go to their webpage, birmingham.woodhousespas.com, birmingham.woodhousespas.com. Now, I can tell you, there won't be classic rock music playing, but you will come out so refreshed, so rejuvenated, that you may feel as if you're Mick Jagger and could go on tour. So check them out today, 905-7676, or birmingham.woodhousespas.com.
All right, Damon Johnson just texted me back tomorrow morning, 8:15.
Perfect.
And you know what?
What a great guy. Like, from wherever he is going to be.
Yeah, I don't want to pull that, hey, by the way, if Johnny's around.
No, I'm not going to do it.
So, yeah, but maybe Damon, and he's listening right now, maybe Damon will be around.
It's just the cameo thing.
Well,
Let me tell you, when I did that cameo thing,
I need to send that video to him again, but Damon Johnson will be on the show.
Send it to who, Johnny?
Back to Damon, just to make sure he remembers seeing it, because there's that. When you said, for people who don't know, I had my 55th birthday back in March, and one of the greatest birthday gifts I ever got, and you told me like 3 weeks before.
It was.
The fact you didn't tell me when it was your birthday. He's like, dude, I'm sending you something for your birthday. It's going to be great. He sent me a cameo with Johnny Van Zant, who I brought on stage like 1,000,000 times. I don't know if he remembers me or whatever, but was talking about the classic rock days and everything else, and he did a great 2-minute cameo, and it was fantastic.
I want to tell you, when you watch Cameo, first of all, they're not one of our, we would love for Cameo to be one of our proud sponsors. Yeah. When you have that done, as much as it was for you, when I saw it, the video come back to me, and my name was mentioned, I can't even put into words, like, this is not going to make for good radio TV. I was blown away. Yeah. Like, there's Johnny Van Zant saying, hey, Tony, and he's like, your friend Josh. And even when I say it now, I get this, like, weird thing in my stomach. Yeah. It was great. I hope that we can sort of create the triangle so that he comes and talks to us. And if not, Damon is, I've told you this, I don't know Damon well. I only know him through you. I've met him once, and I've talked to him on air a few times. He is I'm saying this as a psychologist, he is a soulful person. You can tell in his interviews. Yep. You can tell by the way he speaks. He is a guy who has deep soul. He has emotional insight. And again, I'm saying this after talking to him twice. It's not everybody has that. Yeah. Not everybody has that. And that's what I love about, in addition to his music, that's what I love about him. And I think, I'm guessing this is what the other bands love, besides the fact that he could play. That's what makes for good people. Yep. People who are deeply soulful and engaging that way, they're liked. They're liked. I mean, you're kind of like that, not as much as Damon. You're kind of like that. I am not as much. Yeah. I am not as much. You are. Damon's much more than you.
I want to welcome some new sponsors we have on our show, Southern Precision Staffing, which brings you our AC/DC Livewire Wednesday show every Wednesday night from 8 until 9 o'clock. I host it. I always said if I have my own radio station, which I finally do for a couple of years now, and I love it. It's all AC/DC for an entire hour. It's listened to in a ton of countries, and it's endorsed by the Australian AC/DC fan club, which we love. Southern Precision Staffing for all your staffing needs, from construction to IT to everything in between. Kai Greger, his entire staff, do a wonderful job in your staffing needs. Call them at 205-682-2828, 205-682-2828, where your handshake and your words still mean something. They're centered right here in Hoover, Alabama, but they serve the United States of America, just like KCast Radio does. It's Southern Precision Staffing. We'll talk about Backyard Solutions in just a few minutes here on KCast Radio. I was at the pool yesterday, and I think it was really interesting. I threw the question out.
That was deep.
Yeah,
that was a good question.
It was weird because I was sitting there and I was in the floaty, and I have 3 kids, and I was cognizant of where they're at, but for the most part they're self-sufficient. So I was like, I just lay there and said, give Dad 5 minutes so I can just get some sun. So I just laid back there. I think I actually fell asleep in the pool, and I started looking around, and there's all these people like this and this, like this.
Yep.
They're just and some are playing with their kids, some are reading a book. They may be on their phone, but they're just people, and they're just lying there with their women and men. They're sitting there, and they're just kind of staring off. They're not angry or mad or pissed off or smiling, but they're just kind of. Yeah. And I threw the question out, what do you think about when you're at the pool? And I find myself overthinking things at the pool. You know, the old saying is don't think too much. Yeah. But sometimes you have to think more than you want to. Yeah. Or someone always say, don't overthink it. Yeah. Well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. When someone tells you not to overthink something, you've already overthought it. Yeah. And so when you're telling me not to overthink it,
I'm sorry.
Right? It's the dumbest thing.
It's you see it in athletics all the time. Yeah. Don't overthink it. Just go out there and do it. And the second you say that, then they're thinking about overthinking.
Well, the cows are out of the barn.
Right.
By that point in time, you've already overthought what you're doing. Right. And you're obviously doing something wrong because you're overthinking it. And so I'm thinking, can we overthink too much? Because in a pool setting or the beach setting where you want to turn your brain off, or can you really turn your brain off? You almost have to be doing something to divert your brain away from whatever it is. And I talked to you. I may try to go down to the beach. I'm not sure if I can even go to the beach right now because I'm not sure I could turn my brain off.
That's right.
Because I'm doing the KCast radio thing. We have the show.
Got a lot going on.
I got a lot going on. And so I'd rather just push through to where I know I can crank it off and go. And so the majority of people, when they're trying to be funny, all they were talking about was peeing in the pool.
Okay.
The 65 people are like, I'm thinking about, is there enough chlorine in the pool, or there's a floating Band-Aid in the pool, and I'm like, I don't know what kind of pool you go to. If you go, wherever you go, the club at Lakeview, for example, they don't have
there's no floating Band-Aids
in the club at Lakeview.
No.
But I'm thinking to myself, okay, but what is that? Because I mean, you do think about some pretty crazy stuff when you're sitting, when you have nothing going on.
That's right.
And there's no music and the sun's out. You're just kind of looking around. Is that healthy?
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, it sort of depends on the pool and your situation. If you got super young kids and there's 9,000 people in the pool, you almost can't just lose yourself in thought because you're my kids and all that kind of stuff. But if you think about like when people go to the beach, or even if you go to the pool and there's not a lot going on, you've got the perfect environmental setting for letting your brain go. It's hot, right? And that's sort of beating down on you. And some people it's enjoyable. For others, you're sweating. You contrast that, you're in the cool water. The water is water's very hypnotic, like flowers, like fire, right? And so what ends up happening is you're kind of drawn, even if you're not trying to, you're sort of drawn in. Like you said, okay, it's hot. I'm sweating and I don't really have anything to do. And then I hear the water and then I put my feet in the water. And so from a sensory standpoint, you're kind of transported almost to this semi-trance state. Now, some of that can be dehydration and exhaustion and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it can. So what ends up happening is your mind is freed up to go in any direction that it's going to go. And this is what you're talking about. For some people, it goes to pleasant. I'm relaxed. This is for some people, it goes back. This happens to me sometimes. It gets very nostalgic. You just think about old memories sort of fly forward. For some people, and this also happens to me, it's so quiet thinking-wise, you start obsessing about all the crap you got to do. Right? Because you're not distracted enough, and it's just like it moves through. But what's happening is you've changed the physiological and environmental setting, and you've created a setting that allows your brain to not operate the way it normally operates. This is why, meditation apps and all that kind of stuff, what do? Think of yourself at the beach in warm and cool water. I mean, this is exactly what happens. And so your thoughts, I don't know about you, my thoughts will be everywhere. There's work, kids, I love this. Is someone going to pee in the pool? I don't know. I mean, and that's partly my brain. It's got a little ADD. But that's what happens. The other thing I think is interesting, if you've ever been in the pool and it is more quiet, if you had that sort of, you think you're falling asleep because you're just sort of laying there. But what you're really doing is you're going into a trance state. Yeah. That's exactly the equivalent of a hypnotic trance state where you're present. You're not sleeping, but you feel like you're sleeping. Yeah. That's what the beach does. That's what the pool does.
And so it's relatively healthy. Should you force yourself? Because I know some people are like, you need to relax. Just go away and relax for a while. I'm like, I don't want to sit down at the beach for... Some people can sit at the beach 24 hours a day and just sit there and drink a beer and look at the waves and be as happy as skunks and shit. And I'm like...
you got about 20 minutes for me. And then I'm like... and I don't read. So my wife could sit down. My wife and my son could sit down, and you could have a pile of 6 books. Yeah. And they could just sit there and they would just read all day long, right? Yeah. I brought books down. And I look at the water. I love the water. I love the ocean. I'm looking. But about 20 minutes-ish, even if it's comfortable, I'm either sleeping or I'm like, okay, now what are we going to do?
Happy birthday to Tim Harris today, too, of Soul Carnival.
Oh, yes.
Turned 62 today. He just texted me and said it's my birthday today, too. They're down at Myrtle Beach. I'm assuming he was down there for his birthday, so happy birthday to Tim. Big listener to KCast Radio, so greatly appreciate him. Maybe hypnotic trance is when you're sitting at a playground.
Oh, there you go.
And while the kids are playing and you're just sitting there looking around, it's great, as long as you don't have to worry about someone banging their knees or getting banged up on a play, and you won't do that at Backyard Solutions. Backyard Solutions brings you backyard adventures right there off 119. They've got everything, man. It's super cool. They've got like 60 or 70 different play sets already set up. Your kids can go check them out, try them out, play as long as you want. It's great. They do birthday parties there or any type of party, so you can actually rent the place out, which is a great idea because there is nothing they will try more than once because they have so many playgrounds. And these are generational sets. These are not the playgrounds that break apart and the wood starts peeling off after 1 year. These are so good, they'll add value to your home, and you can move them from place to place. The maintenance installation is second to none. They do great, and they'll come out and restain them for you. They do metal ones because they do ones for playgrounds at parks and at schools and everything else, and certainly residential as well. They have basketball goals, they have trampolines, they have verandas, and they have every stinking playground set you can think of. They're not that cookie cutter thing. They'll build it out just the way you want it. You can make it a little bit bigger than you want. They can do tire swings. They do everything. Awesome. Jeff and his entire crew do a fantastic job. BackyardAlabama.com, BackyardAlabama.com. It's Backyard Solutions, bringing you, of course, all the playground sets of Backyard Adventures. They do a fantastic job. My kids asked me yesterday. I was like, it was too stinking hot.
Yeah, it was hot yesterday.
I was like, let's chill out. But when it cools off a little bit, but again, with COVID and everything going on, they are just killing it. They're doing fantastic. Yeah, they're doing a wonderful job. So that's good stuff as well. So happy birthday to Mick. We'll play a lot of Rolling Stones today. And happy birthday to Roger Taylor. We'll do some Queen coming up in just a few minutes here on KCast Radio. And Damon Johnson, it looks like, will join us tomorrow morning at 8:15 right here on KCast
Yeah, ask him
Radio.
where he's coming, where he's joining us from.
I don't know.
He was in North Dakota?
The Rock the South thing is coming up.
So is he here?
I don't know. I mean, he lives in Nashville.
No, I know. But he was in North Dakota or South Dakota.
I'm assuming, I've looked at Leonard Skinner's schedule. They're not doing like 3 or 4 shows a week.
Right.
They're only doing like 1 or show, and the Rock the South is coming up as opposed. So, and there's also a great article, by the way, before we let you go here on Facebook Live. Go to KCastRadio.com, KCastRadio.com. You can download our app from the KCastRadio.com website. It's great stuff. There's a whole release of brand new albums coming out. You'll like this. Night Ranger's got a brand new release coming out August 4th.
Everybody's just like...
Well, a lot of the stuff, like the All Things Must Pass, is the 50th anniversary for and so that doesn't
Night
count.
Ranger?
No, from George Harrison.
Yeah.
That doesn't count because it's just a reissue.
Yeah, you can't release your old
Reissues
stuff.
don't count.
Yeah, no.
But Night Ranger's actually got some new material with Jack Blades and the guys. I'm actually kind of interested to hear that.
See, I was... I know, and this is nothing against musicians, and I know they know this, but you like the new material, it's got to get a little... Well, it's got to grow on you. It's got to get a little old.
Well,
I have a hard time with that.
We'll play new material here.
Yes, I know.
And the problem with classic rock bands coming out with new material is the only place you can hear it is to stream it or listen to it on KCast Radio.
Right.
When the Who came out with a new album 3 or 4 years ago, which was really good.
Yeah, they're not playing it on... Right.
I know, because there's no... Classic rock stations won't play it because it's new, which is stupid as shit. I mean, it's classic rock, for God's sakes. And Roger Daltrey's coming out, and it's good. We played the AC/DC Power Up. We still play some of their songs. I mean, it's a great album. It rocks. So play it. Talk about one of our great sponsors again, and we'll do some more classic rock here on KCast Radio. Get the KCast Radio app. Download that bad boy. I promise you're going to love it. We're not going to follow you, notify you, anything else. It stays on 24 hours a day. It's fantastic.
All right, so your health tip for today. Men, prostate cancer, 1 out of 9 men are going to develop prostate cancer. You need to have your prostate checked once a year. You need to have a blood test, and our sponsor, Vituro Health, is there. And they're going beyond just helping men treat prostate cancer with new minimally invasive techniques. They're going broader. Men's health, men's prostate health, treatment for cancers, education about prostate cancer, all of that. Go to their webpage, one webpage, great information, VituroHealth.com.
All right.
Okay, what do you call them?
Thank you, Kitty Poos. Appreciate you. Thanks for watching. We'll do it again tomorrow morning. Listen to the KCast Radio app for Classic Rock 24/7 and Dr. Josh and myself every Monday through Friday between 6 and 9.